He stood at the entrance of the auto repair shop like he didn't belong there. Tired clothes, gray hair, messy, face rough from the streets. Everyone inside laughed before he even opened his mouth. "Can I fix it in exchange for food?" he asked softly, pointing at the Porsche 911 that had been sitting dead for 3 days. The youngest mechanic, Tyler, almost dropped his wrench laughing. "Grandpa, this isn't a soup kitchen." Even the shop owner, Marcus, waved him off without looking up. "Jake, call security. These guys show up every day begging." But the man didn't flinch. His voice carried something different, something calm. "I'm not asking for money. I can fix this Porsche, just for a meal." The shop erupted in more laughter. Jake, the senior mechanic with 20 years' experience, shook his head. "Man, he wants to fix a $200,000 car? This is insane." But the stranger's eyes didn't leave the Porsche. He tilted his head when Jake tried starting the engine again. He just listened. "Fuel pressure sensor," he said flatly. "Direct injection issue. That's why it dies at high revs. Not mechanical, electronic." The laughter stopped for a second. Jake had been searching for exactly that fault for 3 days. "How the hell do you know that just by listening?" Tyler asked, not laughing anymore. The man gave a small smile, a tired one. "Because I've seen this before, hundreds of times." Something about the way he said it, the way his hands moved as he looked at the engine. Sarah, the only woman in the shop, couldn't ignore it. She stepped forward. "You've worked on Porsches before, haven't you?" He hesitated. "In various places." That's all he said. Marcus, still irritated, smirked. "Fine, old man. You get one chance. If you're right, I'll give you a sandwich and $20. If you're wrong, you're out of here forever, and I'll film your failure for the internet." The man nodded calmly, as if this wasn't the first time someone tried to humiliate him. He took the scanner in his hands, and for the first time, Sarah noticed, he wasn't nervous. His fingers moved across the advanced diagnostic tool like it was a piano he had played his whole life. Within minutes, the result flashed on the screen. Code P0294, fuel pressure sensor out of range. Exactly what he had said. The room fell silent. Jake leaned over, checked the scanner, and his face went pale. "He's right. 3 days I wasted, and he nailed it in 5 minutes," Tyler whispered. "Impossible." Marcus quickly shoved his phone into his pocket. The video he wanted, humiliating a beggar, wasn't going to happen. "Beginner's luck," he muttered. The man turned and looked him straight in the eye. "Luck doesn't teach you why these sensors fail when the fuel filter isn't changed. Knowledge does." Sarah felt goosebumps. This wasn't luck. This was mastery. But Marcus refused to give in. Tricks, cheap tricks to look smart. The man walked to a BMW in the corner. "That one. You told the owner they need a new engine, right?" Marcus froze. The customer had indeed been quoted $15,000 for a full replacement. The problem isn't the engine. It's the high-pressure fuel pump. A $1,200 fix. Want me to prove it? Jake rushed to hook up the scanner again. The reading confirmed the diagnosis. Jake's face burned red. Sarah whispered, almost to herself, "If he's right, we were about to steal $14,000 from that customer." Marcus tried to brush it off. 2 coincidences, nothing more. But the stranger's eyes, those eyes had seen too much. "Coincidence," he repeated slowly, like the word itself was an insult. He turned to leave. Marcus called after him, desperate to regain control. "Wait, you want your sandwich or not? You think you're some hero?" The man stopped at the door, his shoulders heavy. "Heroes don't exist," he said quietly. "Just people who've lost everything and still try to help." And he walked out. Sarah ran to the window, watching him disappear down the street. For a moment, she thought he saw him pause by a missing child's photo taped to a lamppost. His hand brushed his face. No one inside the shop noticed the tear that slipped down his cheek. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She stayed up researching. The technical knowledge he used, it wasn't common. These were details only top engineers or professional drivers knew. And then she found something. Old motorsport forums from years ago. Username Dark Horse Racing. Posts so detailed, so precise, it was like reading yesterday's scene in the workshop. Her stomach dropped when she finally connected the dots. That man wasn't just some drifter. He was David Williams, three-time Formula One world champion, a legend they once called the Ghost for winning impossible races. And then she read the tragedy. The Monaco crash, the death of his daughter, his wife leaving him, his entire world collapsing in one season. He vanished after that. Now, he was standing in their shop, begging for food, diagnosing cars better than any of them. The next morning, when he returned with a wealthy woman and her broken McLaren, Marcus didn't laugh. No one did. The woman looked at the stranger with absolute trust. He said he can fix what no one else could, she explained. Marcus hesitated, but the stranger stepped forward calmly. Give me 2 hours. If I fail, I'll never come back. If I succeed, give me a chance. Not for a sandwich, for real work. They let him try. And 2 hours later, when the McLaren roared back to life, everyone knew. The man standing before them wasn't just a mechanic. He was something much, much greater. And maybe that's the lesson here. You never really know the battles someone is fighting or the history they carry on their shoulders. That man walked in looking like just another beggar. But inside, he was a world champion who'd lost everything. If this story touched you, remember, don't judge people by how they look. Sometimes the greatest legends are the ones standing quietly in front of us, waiting for one chance to be seen again.